My name is Charlotte, and I'm 28 years old. I grew up in a small town with dreams bigger than the place itself. For 6 years, I worked 2 jobs, saving every single dollar I earned. Day shifts, night shifts, weekends without rest. I had one clear goal: to open my own restaurant. I believed in hard work and I believed in myself. But more than anything, I believed in love. That's when I met Jason. He was charming, attentive, and always knew the right thing to say. He made me feel special in a way no one ever had before. We spent hours together at coffee shops, walking through parks, talking late into the night. He listened when I spoke about my dreams, and he said he wanted to be part of them. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen. One evening over dinner, I told him about my savings. $100,000. 6 years of sacrifice sitting untouched in my account, waiting for the day I could finally start my business. His eyes lit up. He leaned forward and said he could help me double that money in just 6 months through an investment opportunity. He knew people, he said, people who could make my dream come true faster than I ever imagined. I hesitated. Something inside me whispered to be careful. But then he took my hand, looked into my eyes, and asked if I trusted him. I said yes. I gave him everything. The next morning, his messages stopped. By evening, his phone was off. 3 days later, his number no longer existed. I rushed to his apartment, my heart pounding with fear and confusion. The place was empty. He was gone. And so was my money. I collapsed on my bedroom floor that night, sobbing until I couldn't breathe. The pain wasn't just about the money. It was the betrayal, the lies, the realization that everything I thought we had was built on deception. I went to the police, but they offered little hope. Without a signed contract or clear evidence of fraud, there was nothing they could legally do. One officer looked at me with tired eyes and said it wasn't a crime, just betrayal. That word cut deeper than anything else. I stopped talking to friends. I stopped smiling. I stopped trusting anyone. Days blurred into weeks, and I felt completely alone. But somewhere beneath the pain, a small voice inside me refused to give up. I wouldn't let him destroy me completely. I took a part-time job at a beauty salon. The pay was barely enough to survive, but I worked every shift I could find. I stopped going out, stopped buying anything unnecessary, and saved every coin I earned. One night, out of habit, I searched his name online. That's when I found him. A new profile, a new city, a different name, but the same face. He had posted a picture with another woman, calling her his everything. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, but this time I didn't cry. I took a screenshot. I gathered every piece of evidence I had. Messages, dates, bank transfers, photos. I wrote it all down in a notebook and returned to the police. This time, they listened. They opened a case. It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. That night, I slept without tears for the first time in weeks. A week later, the police called me back. They had discovered something important. I wasn't his only victim. There were 3 other women in different cities, all with the same story. He had lied to them, taken their money, and vanished. The officer gave me the contact information for one of them. Her name was Adeline. When I called her, she was crying. Her voice was fragile and broken. She told me he had said the same words to her, made the same promises, and disappeared the same way. We cried together over the phone, 2 strangers connected by the same heartbreak. But that phone call changed something inside me. I wasn't alone anymore. Adeline and I began talking every day. We became friends, sisters bound by shared pain. One afternoon, she said something that shifted everything. She said we should stop crying and start doing something. Together, we created an online page called Be Careful Sister. We shared our stories and wrote articles about recognizing lies, staying safe, and protecting yourself from people like Jason. Soon, messages started pouring in from other women. Some thanked us for saving them from similar situations. Others shared their own stories. My pain was becoming something useful, something powerful. A year passed, the wound in my heart slowly began to heal. I made new friends, worked hard, and saved what little I could. I wasn't the same person anymore. I was stronger, wiser, and no longer afraid to trust myself. One evening, I stood in front of the mirror and said something I had needed to hear for a long time. It wasn't your fault. You loved someone. You believed in him. That's not weakness. That's courage. The next day, Adeline and I met for coffee. She looked at me with a smile and said something I'll never forget. She said that Jason may have stolen our money, but he also gave us something valuable in return. He gave us power. The power to rise, to help others, to turn our pain into purpose. As I walked home that evening, I realized she was right. This wasn't the end of my story. It was only the beginning.